Welcome to the Tourism Hub podcast, a podcast devoted to you and your excellence, providing inspiration and education for the entrepreneurs, experience makers, and excellence seekers of our industry to take your tourism business and career to a whole new level. Relax. It is a new year. At the time of this recording is 2026. And today's episode is one I'm genuinely looking forward to and have for some time. It is, it shines a light on what happens when you've got a human in tourism that is a combo pack of passion and deep respect for placemaking and carving out their own lane. I'm joined by the experience maker behind Juggle House Experiences, dear Kelly. Hello and welcome to the Tourism Hub podcast. We finally did this.
It's so wonderful. I appreciate it. How amazing to start off a fresh new year. Thank you so much for having me, Despy.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you. Thank you. Now, we got a lot to cover in this episode that's been a long time in the making. Kelly, let's get straight into it. Before Juggle House came and really just took over your world, this beautiful business, and really made its mark, an award-winning mark in South Australian tourism. Tell us what the lead up to that. Tell me about your journey. What did Kelly want to do when she grew up, and what led you to be a human in tourism?
Thank you. I always knew, actually, from school. I grew up in a very small country town, regional South Australia, on a farm, eldest of three girls, busting to get out. Couldn't wait to get to Adelaide. When I got there, got a bit homesick, but enjoyed studying tourism. And I really knew from the beginning that I was a people person and loved this connectivity. So I was along the way of studying and also working in industry placements, worked at Monado Safari Park, so one of the biggest open range zoos in the country, and a few other great, extraordinary validations that tourism was my bag. So thankfully didn't sway from that even when I had children. Worked for the South Australian Tourism Commission in policy and planning and marketing of regions. And I think that, working behind the scenes like that really helped me in good stead because I worked with quite a lot of tourism businesses. So I had a fair bit of exposure to small mums and dad micro business and big companies. And it came really evident to me that being a tourism operator myself was something that I didn't want to leave this life not having had a go. And being in my region, I was also very involved in community, and I became an elected member on the council when my children were little and deputy mayor for a period of time. So community and collaboration and regions are really what flows through my veins, and just becoming the person that people look to for leadership. When I've seen many mentors before me do this sort of thing, when I have regional collaborations with other businesses, that's something that I've liked to have at the forefront and unpack that with you a little bit as well.
It's quintessential, goes hand in hand, doesn't it? Like in the world of tourism, visitor economy, community, being community-led, and that speaks so much to what you've achieved to date, hearing that backstory. And I'd imagine like through that journey, you were exposed to many different examples of great leadership, and then like leadership that could be done better, and what you would like to see in a leader as well.
Yeah, I think leadership forms in various ways, and it depends what sort of crisis as well you see people in. So for our business, we had COVID hit just 1 year after we started Juggle House Experiences, and we'd started River Murray Dark Sky Tours as well. And so then the leaders in the Tourism Industry Council, watching them, and South Australian Tourism Commission and our local government and state government representatives because I'd had a little bit of insight into this, having been a leader in my community before, it helps you empathize, because those crisis moments that we go through, and in Australia, we're always going to go through them with our weather and our climate and all those. I think it's just a lot about empathy, and my empathy extends into the experiences that we offer to our customers from all around the world, because 1/3 of our world's population are living in cities and can't see the night sky. So when people come to our experience, they are often brought to tears. And so it's my responsibility to help them understand the feelings that they're having. And we just take this for granted ourselves living in Australia, and can often see the night sky. So yeah, it's transforming a lot of what the experience that you have in your community into helping visitors to appreciate it.
Incredible. And that defining moment, I think, for anybody that's listening that is looking at Kelly's past self now in the lead up, going, I don't want to live this earth without giving this a crack myself. And certainly, just full disclosure, I experienced the Kelly star, literally. If there's someone that puts a star in their name, and we'll talk more about that, it's Kelly. Going through that motion that either I identify as a tourism operator, and joining you, just, oh God, it gave me that ignition that it just was so exciting to just have that little moment with you in your orbit, literally, for that 24 hours. Tell me about that transition, because you've had various roles within tourism and leadership roles within government or local government and within the wider tourism industry. Tell me now about what ignited you to say, I'm going to do this and I must, because for whatever reason at the life stage that you were at the time, to start your tourism business. And I guess how you wanted to change people, because what you've just shared about empathy and sharing these experiences, was that there from the start, or is that something that's evolved because you've observed it and you've seen the change that it's making?
It's evolved because I've observed it, and in any business you have to adapt to your customers and your environment. So I think that actually is also the beginning of this question, what's ignited you? So when we were already a tourism business, we were dealing with houseboat groups, so picking them up and taking to the Barossa or Langhorne Creek or Adelaide Hills and transferring people to houseboats, and we were doing corporate work and other things. Not long into that, the government approached about 5 of us as tourism business owners in the region and said, we have an imminent announcement of an international dark sky reserve. In my past life as the deputy mayor, I had already known about this being something that was on the horizon, and we'd done the work together as a region of becoming accredited for a policy and planning perspective, and also light pollution awareness. And so we're working towards that, but I had an outskirts involvement in it. So these two worlds collided, and the government said to us in this meeting of 5 people at the Manor Motel, this imminent announcement is coming, and now we need to provide saleable product. So my science teacher from school thinks it's absolutely hilarious that I'm running stargazing tours, because I paid no attention at school in science if there were rings around Saturn or Jupiter. And that's not what it's about. I've partnered with the astronomers for this project and pulled together other experiences in our region. So the ignition came from a conversation when we were in a competitor's environment in this meeting. There were existing businesses offering tourism experiences, and then we all had to pivot, or we wouldn't have anything that was tangible as such. So there were only a few of us left doing it. But in that moment of time, and I really wish, Despi, that I had got a photo of that meeting, because we didn't realize how important that was. And normally you would be doing a SWOT analysis about your competitors, but we actually brainstormed who would do what. We helped each other pull together our packages, and then went about dealing with resources and sharing tour guides and sharing buses. And really being in it for the greater good of our region, our state, and our whole nation, because there's only 250 internationally declared dark sky places around the world. And this is something that's so much bigger than all of us, because we need to essentially heritage list stars and the planets and the night sky so that our future generations are protected from light pollution. So here's the environmental side of me coming in now and the passion there. But I am just a tourism girl, which I've explained to you, and a regional representative trying to distribute through our economy. So, yeah, there's quite a lot of factors in the passion for it.
So prior to the River Murray Dark Sky and Juggle House, so this was something you were operating your tours, like taking guests to and from houseboats. So being in that position that you had already made that decision to start your tour operation, how far into your operation did this meeting take place?
I think it was only about 6 months from memory, but I probably to look it up. Yeah, it wasn't long. And it was only, I was working another job at Monado Zoo, working like council deputy mayor position is almost full time, just tinkering around with Juggle House experiences. But it wasn't very long before that exploded and I could see the potential. So when I say 6 months, that's not long. And really the longevity of this has had quite very pivotal moments, because we all know we went through the global pandemic. That was only 1 year into my business. And then we endured the Murray River floods not long after, which was 1 in 100 year floods, and that impacted significantly. So there's been huge moments of resilience required to keep going.
And speaking of that, when we think about challenging times and the vulnerability that we have in our industry, I think just this is in all industries and just in our way of life. If we see what's happened of more recent, there's been catastrophic fires. We've had a flash flood that saw camper vans here in Victoria more recently kind of go out into the ocean. Having experienced that, and for all the risk and mitigation and preparedness that tour operations are encouraged to take part of, and it's important, I guess, that first-hand experience of early on having to face a crisis of a natural disaster in your business. Looking back on that, is there anything that could have better prepared you for that? And what did you need to draw on to keep going through that challenge?
Yeah, so we've been invited a few times to do talks about this and resilience and risk management, and it is a really challenging one to think about. You can do all your work on paper. The Tourism Industry Council and Quality Tourism Framework have great risk management profiling and risk matrix, and you do all the thinking. So you have to do that. It's really important. And then you come to the doing and you realize, oh, yep, this is my risk management plan. But I think the most important thing that I reflect on is being nimble and trusting my gut and that sixth sense, because the flood conversation, for example, if I just use that one, we waited 5 weeks for the water levels to rise. Nobody knew, the government, nobody knew how high it was going to come, what infrastructure was going to be impacted, how long it would last. So I remember not feeling scared to the point of freaking out, but also just feeling, yep, I can feel this is bad. I've been through this before with COVID, knowing that you've got to really react fast. And there's a mistake I did make originally. So I think learning from that and trusting your instincts and talking a lot to other people and leaning in on leaders and having really in-depth conversations, knowing that they're difficult, is really important. So, yeah, I think paralysis is something that I've struggled with a few different times, and you've got to do your work physically in your mind and your body to come out of paralysis. And I think that is sometimes a big hindrance for myself anyway, and I've seen it with others.
And when you talk about that, it's just acting quickly and trusting that gut. Yeah, because particularly in a crisis or emergency environment, the leisure of having the time to sit and think is not there. Is that what, just to clarify, is that what we mean by that?
Summary,
just
yeah.
trusting quickly. Yeah.
Trusting. And also an example of this is we had a travel path that we planned to go through as a plan B when the flood rose, and then that plan C needed to be enacted because that particular travel path was no longer an option. We had to take our meeting point to a whole new town 30 minutes away. Instead of being in Manham, it was Murray Bridge, and then we crossed a bridge instead of ferries because they were closing down. And by the end of it, I got to plan E. That's what we were working with. And it took 9 months for the roads to open. Now, I could have just thrown my hands in the air and thought, oh, we're just not going to do this. And people were asking me to recreate other tours for floods and take them to lookouts and show them properties of my friends that were underwater, that I knew that my friends were struggling, and I felt really uncomfortable about doing that. So I trusted my gut. That wasn't the right thing to do. Other people could do that if they wanted, which they didn't. And so by the plan E, I would have lost at least 6 months of income if I didn't quickly recreate travel paths. And we just had adventure after adventure. Our customers knew they could trust the locals. I had told them at the beginning, I have the speed dial. My speed dial is so long of all the people that I can call if we get in trouble. And everybody was really interested to come and see and still participate in our night sky tour, but it was just in a completely different format that my risk matrix would never have been able to know at the beginning.
That's right. To go to plan E, that's just something that's been just on the ground, and being so also being so familiar as a local with your landscape and what you can deliver. I love what you shared there too. I think that just all the work, whether it's work that you've done or I think it's just part of your DNA, you're so values driven. That's just a hard no. I think you're presented with an opportunity, a commercial opportunity through this, because you say through crisis, there's also comes opportunity. But I just love that you've shared that. It's like it's a no-brainer. That's a no. That's not what we're going to do. Happy, no judgment. You go do you, but that's not something that I'm going to do. I think that just speaks volumes also to how aligned that you are. Now, in terms of to just give everybody, I didn't know I needed a stargazing experience in my life until I joined Kelly on the Murray River stargazing tour, and transformative is what I came out with. If it was one word for that experience, it was transformative. When you're presented with the dark sky, and the education and the lead up to that was most certainly a highlight for me. It's also just when I mentioned to Kelly when she dropped astro-tourism, just when your senses and your neurons fired up that this is just new world. It was just like, whoa. You're saying there's 250, dark sky reserved, and we're talking heritage, and it's like universal landscape. This isn't real estate that we're putting a stake in. This is the night sky. So when I talk about or ask that question to a lot of my guests about that upper moment, that aha of that you've had, that this is the best thing outside of that meeting that you wish you had a photo of with the five of you, what's been the one thing in your journey that you could say that was a turning point up until that point that you said, no, I am entering a new world, or this is what I'm going to do for the next little while?
Yeah, good question. So we'd started, as we talked about, Juggle House experiences. I kept the River Murray Dark Sky Tours actual evolution until about maybe 2 or 3 years in. It didn't evolve because I didn't want my business to be defined by the stargazing tours. And I also was quite nervous because it is so new, that the moment when I realized it was taking over, it's 52% of the business. It came in for the stats when I reviewed it and thought really needs its own identity, its own business. So essentially now I'm running 2 businesses, Juggle House Experiences and River Murray Dark Sky Tours. So they have its own business registration and its own website and its own socials and all those things. But that moment had to come in various forms and milestones because we won the South Australian Tourism Award for Best Tour and Transport Operator in 2022. And we just got off the stage, and then a few weeks later is when the flood came. So that there, I've told people this before, aside from my wedding day, that is the happiest day of my life. We're receiving that award. It's in a room full of 800 friends. Your tourism colleagues are your friends, especially in your own state. People say having babies, but I have two of them, and that was full of fear and pain and all the other things. So not elation, I don't think. But anyway, that's digress. And also last year we won a $20,000 grant for Fearless Females Women in Innovation Award. And that's just, again, like I'm saying, the milestones of people who are in many forms of industries in, different sectors of the economy. And then we were competing against 120 applicants, I believe, and then 4 of us were winners. And it is a grant-funded application, but it was just, I felt so elated at that time. And then I could share with you other moments. There's probably 3 of them from a customer perspective that really then I knew this is where we're going to go for it in astro-tourism. And also another new word is noctourism, so nocturnal tourism, nighttime. Yeah, so that's came out last year. So I won't tell you all about all of those customers, but just one in particular, a lady had dreamt about seeing the Milky Way. She'd learnt about it at school. She came from Singapore, and on the night she came, I thought she was going to break her ankle when she stepped out of the bus to look up, because she missed the bottom step because she just was so in awe, and she burst into tears. And that night of the Milky Way, it was shining so bright that it illuminated the river underneath. And those are the times that keep us going out there. Those are the people that we want to create this experience, as you talk about a lot, experience creators. That's the platform that we want to keep doing this, because there are many people around the world that don't have this chance. We've had people that are working for Elon Musk building satellites over time come from America, people who come from the UK that have always wanted to see the southern sky and miss out sometimes. It's all different. So, yeah, I think there's many of those times that really just keep you going.
That's extraordinary. And Fearless, I think that's such a deserving award. And what I hear from that what has led you every step of the way and continues to, you look at data and your own experience and I guess business intelligence that validates that next step. And I think taking that next, I know where we met, it was just Juggle House, and this was a thing that's coming, but I've just really enjoyed seeing the evolution of you in business, and this is, I just feel like this is just the beginning. And I also see, just to be in that room, I can almost picture you, because you've been there in your various roles before, celebrating the success of others, and here you are and doing what you do. And I guess the future now, before we go into an excellence round, is that next step, because so much has happened even more recently with an observatory that's now been introduced. Tell us a little bit about that and just the level of contribution and community, that what it takes to get something like this off the ground.
Oh, it's so much. Yeah, the collaboration that's required is really next level, and it can take a long time. I guess this is where the leadership comes in. If somebody doesn't step forward and have a go, others can't feel as confident. We really hope eventually that there will be a planetarium in our area, which is an observatory, a visitor centre, some people that can go during the day as well. And it's a point where people can also come when there's inclement weather and there's still a really wonderful experience. So we do have a private philanthropist who has built an observatory in the heart of the Dark Sky Reserve near Swan Reach, beautiful township. And these are other examples where people really can see the future of this and want to provide an opportunity. We've had merchandise business called GBL Designs, Get Busy Living in Manham, that have stepped behind and created hoodies and T-shirts and all sorts of what planet are you on and beanies, and I need some space. One lady bought a beanie and she said, I'm just going to wear it to my office inside, saying I need some space. And a local distillery has created a gin, a dark sky gin, which is purple with speckled glittery edible glitter inside of it. You know, there's signs at the perimeter of the entrance of the Dark Sky Reserve, brown tourism signs that the state government have put in place. The local council have got about 7 concrete telescope pads with signage that people can come to the Dark Sky Reserve at any time with their own telescopes. So there's, I guess this is years in the making, and there's still many more examples of this to go. And it's placemaking, isn't it? We talk about this in regional tourism. It's creating a sense of place. The reason why we're dark here is because we have such an enormous agricultural sector. So tourism and agriculture are 2 main parts of our economy here in Manham and Walker Flat, Swan Reach, all these beautiful little towns along the Murray, that we have cereal crops, onions and potatoes and citrus fruit as well, all kind of food bowl of the river. But now we've created our own little astro tourism site, which is on my friend's farming property. And so now we're in agritourism, and that's just a whole new world. And it's been really good for them, actually, because when there's times of drought or difficulties in farming, which we've had 2 years of drought here, the farmer that we work with has told me this has been so exciting for him to think about other things. Him and his wife talk about different things other than the farming. And so this is a way that we can derive income for them for land use as well. Establishing accommodation is things that people are looking at as well, creating old farmhouses into bed and breakfast with roofs that you can see the ceiling, through the ceiling you can see the night sky. So there's a lot of future excitement, I think, for the region.
Sky's the limit, part of the pun, hey? Like, you haven't heard that one before.
I love it. You could be marketing, Despina. You're so good.
So good. Oh, no, it's the stuff that you read about, write about, you teach, and you're just a living example of just it's just a tapestry of the landscape and the commercial benefit. We talk about yield and the collaborative gain for everybody. This just doesn't feed me, it feeds you, it feeds us, and people walk away experiencing something so unique that they take away with them, for forever. So good. We said before we could talk through to breakfast, lunch and dinner, but I'm going to go through an excellence round now. That initially, what was holding you back to take that first tour and say, yes, I'm going to do this, and start that first operation, to start your business and be a tour operator?
Yeah, pricing held me back. How do you package a price? Being a tour operator is not just about creating one experience, you're working with others. So I think I just procrastinated on that until I found a coach that could help me work through a calculating process, and then that's all I needed to do was ask for help. So holding me back was my own self-doubt.
Oh, and I love that too, that you saw a coach very early on in your journey. A lot of people don't. That paralysis can stay for years. So good on you, just taking that first step and asking for help.
Yeah,
love it.
Just on that, I just will flag one of those was you early on as well, because I saw you talk at a tourism industry conference, and then I had a one-on-one mentoring through the industry council with you, and I remember you saying, are you green and growing or ripe and rotting? And it always sticks with me because that's so important. Like, how are the customers going to actually appreciate their experience with you if you're feeling uncomfortable? So I really thank you, and as many people that are experienced in the tourism industry to help, is you always get something out of it. Thank you.
Oh, Oh, ditto. That's it. I don't know who or where I had heard that, but I do reflect on that as a barometer. When you say, am I green and growing? Am I ripe and rotting? What needs to get me green? Get the shoots sprouting. Astrotourism got me fluoro green. So the best advice. So you've had some great leaders and mentors in your journey. Can you think of that one best advice that really helped you along the way?
Definitely, again, asking for help when you need it. That's advice that I got really early on as well. And that also, one of my first mentors talked about progress, not perfection. And that's sort of into that paralysis conversation that keeps rising with me. I'm sure many others, that you just start. It doesn't have to be perfect. And especially when we first started the astro-tourism project, we were operating in a public car park for quite a few years before we sought this private astronomy site, and it wasn't perfect, but actually the authenticity and the rawness and the realness of it is so much what customers are seeking. Consumers are looking for that more and more, I find, anyway.
Same. I mean, as someone that was there with you, I just loved the rawness that it matched the experience. I loved just being in that environment, and almost that you just don't know where you are as well. It's so dark that you don't, it was wonderful. The best habit that you've developed, whether it's something that naturally comes to you or that you've had to work hard at, that contributes to the success that you've achieved so far.
Yeah, the habit that I've created is about awareness and use of my time. So over time, I would say yes to everything. And now I'm very conscious of the return on investment. So I used to have a hustle that wasn't healthy and it wasn't sustainable. So not just physical, getting in amongst it or everything, but just being a bit more protecting of my peace and valuing my time.
Oh, I love that, because hustle is not always healthy, but being aware to saying no is just important as saying yes. Love that, Kel. Now, in terms of like with the habits and to your success, what's your favorite, or whether it's something new, an internet resource, or it doesn't even have something that contributes to your success that you can share? An app, a website?
Yeah, this is a little bit left field, but it's a lady that I follow in South Australia called Be Simply Free, and she has quite a lot of packs, which is essentially about decluttering. Her name's Bridget Johns, and she speaks all around and has a website, and I pay a monthly subscription to meet with her and utilize her resourcing in decluttering. It's not just about physical space, but your mind and your calendar. And I think there's so much noise, and we're just coming in from the festive season, that it's nice to be able to quieten your mind for a little while. Most of the time, that's what people can do at Christmas and spend time with their loved ones. And then we enter this reflective period. So this Be Simply Free has really changed my life. Simple things like my alarm goes off at 4:44 every morning, and it's 1% of my day extra time. What can I use with 1%? Like 14 minutes of your day. What can you do? It could be just decluttering your medicine cupboard, or it could be reviewing your strategy for the year or the day or whatever. When I'm hosting stargazing tours, I will just add in a disclaimer there that I sleep during the day before I go out at nighttime. But we have other tour hosts and things. But I think that's real peaceful time for me in the morning. And I am innately more of a morning person. That's productivity, knowing when you're productive in the best time. Is it blue, deep thinking time, or red action time? There's a lot of examples of this, but Bridget has been very helpful and is winning a lot of awards and helping a lot of people.
Ah, my God, so much to love about that. Blue thinking time or red action time. And as a tour operator and as a navigator of weather conditions to operate, the decision fatigue, like just the decisions, there would be the average person's decisions that they make in a day, but I reckon it would be 10x for an operator.
Yeah.
Like just the constant, if this, then that, if that, then this. So you're always like, you have to hold off because the other variables, just having lived in that world, like I just love that you found this Be Simply Free. And I love, me. I'm going to go deep into that rabbit hole. But I just love that this is something that we have to consciously and intentionally choose our time well and protect our peace, because particularly we talked about crisis, and I wrote here, but I didn't come back to it. It's just that mental health element. There's all the business development, but just protecting our mind to be able to do the work and deliver excellence. That's the green and growth. If we're going to deliver excellence, we have to be our best selves. People can tell. There's only so much we can fake it. Good one. Which leads into a book. Has she written a book? That would be the next thing, I would say.
Oh,
yeah.
She hasn't, but it would be good if she did. But the book, I'm not very good at reading books, actually, and I'd like to get a lot better at it. I always have intentions and then I slip away from it. But one thing I would like to, it's on my list, is From Good to Great by Jim Collins this year. I really need to, this is that elevation piece of understanding that everything's good, but how do you actually become better, and continuous improvement is something that we write into our business plans, that next level of this. So there's the standard Atomic Habits, which I read every year and remind myself, and you constantly need those. But I'm really looking forward to this Good to Great book.
Oh, it's a classic, and I think I use that framework a lot. I think you would get a lot of value out of that one. If there's one book for the year, that would be a really good one. And now just finishing off with your favorite holiday destination and experience. Do they both exist, or do you have two separate? Like, where does Kelly and family love to get away to? What does that look like? And what's been your most memorable experience that you've had as a customer?
Yeah, this is so tricky when you ask tourism people this, because we get excited, don't we, about everywhere in the whole world, all the places we've been and want to go. But in my own backyard, I have loved, and will stand out forever in my time, Baird Bay eco experiences, where swimming with sea lions and dolphins in the wild, and Eyre Peninsula. I went there when I was working for the South Australian Tourism Commission as a young adult, and we went on a famille, and I distinctly remember the feeling it gave me, like you're talking about transformational under the stars with the platform that we provided. This one was so real and authentic, and there was nothing contrived about how the wildlife came to be close to the boat and how we swam with them. So I promised myself, if and when at that time I would have a family, that we would go back, and we made that happen 2 years ago. And Eyre Peninsula is very rugged, and my eldest daughter actually was swimming with the sea lions, and they came right up to her face like little puppies, and she squealed, and she was a teenager but inner child coming out, too cool for school most of the time, but could not contain her excitement. And my youngest daughter was and my husband, it was sheer joy and elation that I hope that forever we can preserve these natural experiences, because sometimes people get funny about things being at risk and, is this contrived and whatever. But yeah, I think that tourism in its entirety is so extraordinary, the experiences that you can get from them, that I'm a real seeker of adventure in this nature, and I just want to go everywhere and see everything.
Oh, look, I think it's when you talk about, why everybody got involved. Often everybody that I speak to and I meet along the way, it's that crush on the world and that crush on that's adventure seeking, or experiences that give you, or like moments like that. That's something that you will talk to, forever and a day. Amazing. So the best place to get in touch with you, I will have everything in the show notes, but any other parting words that we haven't covered that you'd like to share?
I think I'm really happy to share this story, and there's so much more we could focus on for other people around the country. And I think especially the resilience and risk management. So I've been asked over the last 2 years to present on many different stages in front of conferences. So yeah, I'd be really open to people contacting me on LinkedIn. It's Kelly Kuhn, Kuhn. And also, of course, the standard social media that we have in existence is, a way to follow along on what we do. And yeah, I've really enjoyed talking to you, not just now, but over time. And you have such a wealth of knowledge and experience. And I'm very grateful for any time that we can learn from each other. And yeah, we're very lucky and fortunate, a lot to be grateful for. So thank you.
Oh, ditto, absolutely ditto. Thank you for taking the time. And I know, continue to rest as much as you can in the lead up to another successful year. And this is the first, is definitely not the last. I think having regular catch ups and seeing where things are at and how you're evolving, it would be a delight to have you back anytime. So thank you, Kelly. Thank you to everybody that's listened. Please reach out to Kelly and check out Juggle House Experiences and rivermurrayducks.com.au. Both is .com.au, and I'll have everything else, other links, and certainly the resources that Kelly shared also in the show notes. Okay, without further ado, keep doing what you do to be that 1% better today than we were yesterday. I guess if we can just keep doing that, the compound effect of that will serve everybody for the greater good of our industry and our well-beings. Thank you, Kelly. Thank you for listening. And until next time, my friends, we'll talk then. Bye.
Everyone.